I often talk about the symphony of success. What does success sound like to you? Not what success means to me, not what success means to your parents, to your friends, to the system. What does success sound like to you? What is your symphony of success? When you hear successful, living a successful life, what comes to mind? For a musician, it may be really good at playing an instrument. For me, it may be developing a phenomenal business. For an athlete, it may be developing a great athletic career. What is your symphony of success? It really depends on the individual. That's why there's no one spectrum of success. There isn't one number to achieve that defines success. That is my definition of success, but that is for me. Why? Because every person beautifully has been created to have their own specificity. So you have your own dreams, you have your own ambitions, you have your own symphony of success. You need to find that. And how do you find it? From deprogramming from the bullshit that everybody else has told you of what it means to be successful. You need to stop listening to others and start listening to yourself. But the problem is nobody knows how to listen to themselves. They're scrolling on TikTok, music on loud every day, when they're driving, fucking radio turned on, when they're home scrolling on their phones, when they ask for opinions, they ask for opinions from other people. They ain't even asking opinions from themselves. They're going to a fucking psychologist, asking a psychologist for wisdom and advice on how to live their lives. And they're paying this motherfucker money, and all you are is a client, so might as well keep this person sick as long as possible, or deranged, or in the loop of coming and sitting on the chair. Why? Because they're paying for the fucking mortgage. When's the last time you sat down and defined your symphony of success? What does success look like to you? To me, it's not having a ton of properties and living in a big fat box and having a ton of supercars. No, to me, it's freedom. And I found that early on. Now I just am able to experience a different level of freedom with more toys and more things, and I can bring people along that journey with me to enjoy it. That is my symphony of success. And if I was to cater or falter to what other people told me what success was, then I have gone from successful to unsuccessful.
Michael, let me ask you this. You know, running a business, a lot of people who run a business here, you wonder who's support, who is sales, who's operations, who's this, who's that. In your world, you would tell me you guys got soldiers, you guys got earners, right? What is the difference between a personality of a soldier and an earner? And did you ever have a situation where a soldier also was a great earner? But was there a quality for each?
We had about, at that time, we had about 115 made guys that actually took the oath. Out of the 115, Patrick, 20 of us were earning. That's it, 20 of us. The other 95 who had a gambling problem, we gave them a union job. We tried to do our best to support them, but then they did a lot of the heavy work, the street work, because it's like anything else. You want to protect the golden goose. So the guys that are bringing in the money, you try not to jeopardize them. And the other guys that are just capitalizing on being part of that life, we made them do the work. Most of the time.
Was there a personality difference or no? Like, was there a trend amongst the 95 soldiers that they were not business savvy, they were not communicators, they were not leaders? Maybe they were tougher guys, maybe they were not. What was the difference between the two?
Yeah, I mean, you could tell almost immediately. You talk to a guy a few minutes, if he's got a head for business or not. And then, some of those guys, they're just thrilled to be part of the life, and they want to do whatever they got to, but they don't know how to earn. I mean, they really don't. You got to give them a job. You got to support them. Look, in that life, we were all Shylocking money. You know what Shylocking means? Lending it out in usurious rates. Every one of us were in that business. So what I did with the guys around me that really couldn't earn on their own, I would give them money in turn to put out on the street. So we'd earn a couple of points a week. I'd give it to them, and then, that's how you made guys earn back then. It was a little easier, because you had that kind of thing going. And back then in the 80s, bank money wasn't easy to come by, so we had plenty of customers that wanted money all the time. I lent a lot of business people money back then.
And you were making what, 2.5 to 5 points? What was
it would go from 2.5 to 5 points, and then sometimes if I'll be honest with you, if you wanted to take the business over, you give the guy, make it a little harder for him to pay every week, so he'd pay 5, 6, 7 points, but it's easy. You come to me at 12 o'clock, you got the money at 2. There's no application or nothing, and you go about your business. But It was big business at the time.
I think before you create an opportunity, you need to identify the opportunity. So most people, for example, you probably get a fuck ton of DMs, right?
Oh yeah.
Every single day. Oh, let me come edit for you. Let me come do this for you. Or let's train together. Or hey, I'm in Dubai. Or hey, I'm in whatever. You get hundreds of DMs. Same thing with me. But nobody ever comes to me and says, hey, Luke, I identified this need, this vulnerability in your business. I know how to increase your returns by X amount of money. I know how to make money for you. I know how to do this for you. I'll do it for free. Here it is. What, I wouldn't respond to that DM? We read our DMs. People don't seem to understand, bro. So what I did is I study people the same way that I study markets. People have needs. People have vulnerabilities. People have necessities. Even the richest, most successful person in the world, they have something that they're lacking. It may not be money, but they may be lacking in health. They may be lacking in connections. They may be lacking in a specific resource. Your goal is to position yourself in that situation to supply that need and come in as what? The irreplaceable, most experienced, in-demand person. So not just to make money, but to capture the opportunity. Now, drop shipping, e-commerce, social media marketing, whatever it may be, gives you the avenue and the ability to learn and make the mistakes in an easy way where you don't have an organization, where you don't have venture capital, where you don't have investors that you have to keep happy. You learn the mistakes while still making money. That's the beauty of the 21st century. That's the beauty of 2023 is that you can actually still make money. Whereas back in the day, it was a little bit more difficult. The barrier to entry was higher. But on the other side, the barrier to entry today also means that there's more competition.
100%.
So how do you beat them?
How do you beat them?
You're not a hustler. You're a business owner. That's the difference. A lot of these kids, they don't know shit about business, dude. They know how to make money. They know how to market. But business is a multidisciplinary skill. Business is a multidisciplinary skill. How to build teams, how to become a leader, how to incentivize your people, logistics, warehouse, customer service, product development, COGS, finance, taxes. Dude, the list goes on and forever. And I've done it, right? I've taught people about payment processing. I've taught people about products. I've taught people about anthropology of consumerism, how people think. I've taught people these things that are evergreen kind of ecosystems and concepts, because this idea of like, well, what Facebook ad are you using right now? How many ad sets are you running? What's your ad spend for your testing? These are all tactics. The question is, why do those things work?
What's the method? Like, what's the mindset?
The strategy. The strategy, dude. And once you have the strategy down, you just have to replicate it in other niches.
You know, there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. You have confidence. I have confidence in my ability and what I can do, but I'm not arrogant about it, and neither are you, you know? And there is a big difference. People don't like arrogance. People respect confidence. Confidence is part of leadership. You have to inspire people to see that, hey, I'm in control, I know what I'm doing, but you got to do it the right way and carry yourself the right way. And I think, you know, and then obviously I was successful. So success attracts people also. So if you can garner those qualities in your life, you can succeed.
You need to know what money is, right? What is money? Right now, pause the video. What is money? Define it. Most of you guys could not literally define what money is. Oh, well, money is a store of value. Or, well, money is power. No. These are things that money can give you, or attributes of money. But what is money by definition? Who can create it? How much can they create? What gives them the authority, right? All these things, you need to learn them. You need to learn them. Why? Because if you're going to pursue money, you better understand that which you're pursuing. Most of you guys don't have money because you don't understand anything about money. You don't know what money is. Therefore, money eludes you. But if you want to attract money, you must first understand what it is. Second is to understand that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? And I talked about this, right? And it's the idea of Newton's third law. Newton's third law dictates that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. This happens in the natural world, but it can also happen and apply itself in our life. So people want uphill, we talk about people wanting uphill results with downhill habits. You can't have that. You need to choose what you want to commit to, right? You're going to commit to a shitty life or a great life. But this idea that you can achieve certain results in your life without putting in the specific requirements of work, right, is impossible. So focus on the input, and life will give you in proportion that output. People want the output. People want the money. People want the cars. But nobody wants to put in the fucking work. Nobody wants to put in the hours. Nobody wants to train. Focus on the input and let the universe focus on the output, because by natural law, that will happen. I often tell people that every man needs 3 relationships in their life. In order for you to have balanced life as a man, you need 3 relationships. First, you need a mentor. Somebody that has gone the path that you want to go, that can instruct you and take you down the road, avoiding the pitfalls and avoiding the mistakes and avoiding the troubles that come that way. You need a peer, somebody that is at your level, at your equal, that you can mastermind with, that you can build a think tank, that you can go back and forth and discuss and argue and develop business. And then you need a mentee, whether it's your young brother or somebody that you bring into your business or an employee, somebody that you pour yourself into. Why? Because those people keep you accountable. Those people are the ones that check you. You know, you often have your little sibling, he'll ask you questions and he'll check you with authenticity and honesty and ask you shit. You're like, oh, whoa, like this kid's paying attention, right? Yeah. So every man in his life needs 3 relationships. And under those 3 relationships, capital has been built. Mentors, peers, and mentees. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're productive. True. I can see a lot of entrepreneurs, see how they conduct their daily lives, look at their daily habits and realize if they're going to be successful or not. Mm-hmm. Why? Because the allocation of time, which is one of the resources that you have, the allocation of energy, another resource that you have, and the allocation of attention, another resource that you have, are dispersed, and they are dispersed everywhere. Mm-hmm. There is no sort of focused attention towards an objective. So everybody that says, oh no, I'm working hard, I keep trying, I'm always educating myself, I'm investing my time wisely. If you actually evaluated these people's lives, you would realize that it's bullshit. Because most people waste time, they waste energy, and they waste attention. Mm-hmm. But if you could focus energy, time, and attention in the development of your character, in the development of your relationships, in the development of money-making skills, there's skills that help you make money. Mm-hmm. Making money is a skill. Mm-hmm. If you don't make money, you have not developed the skill of making money. And for you to consider that you have is a lie. Mm-hmm. So if you look at your bank account and your bank account reflects X amount of balance, it's a direct correlation on your level of skill when it comes to making money.
But what I learned at that point, I learned just about these technicalities and how you got to keep your head in a meeting like that. You got to learn to outsmart people. You got to be able to read the room. You know, I learned that whenever I went into a meeting like this, I tried to learn the personality, the character of the person I was up against. John Gotti, for instance. You can never let John Gotti think that you won an argument. His ego wouldn't allow it. So you had to figure out a way to outsmart him to make him think he won, but you actually got what you want. And when you can master that art, you'll do pretty good. And you know, whatever I did in my whole life, I was able to apply that to business in life now. So that was my first, but you know, they got over me a little bit, we kind of compromised, but it was a big lesson for me because that was my first major sit down against a major guy.
That's how I got started my entrepreneurial journey. I helped a company in Wall Street with Facebook ads, right? And I did it for free for 2 months. Free service, doubled the revenue with Facebook ads. After the 2 months, I called them like, hey, I want a contract. Like, I want a contract. They're like, okay, we'll talk about it next month. The next day, I turned off their ads. The next day, they called me, fly up to New York. Yeah. They gave me, I think, a $6,000, $7,000 a month retainer, right? So that's the entire premise, is you need to be able to provide value ahead of time, and you can get into the rooms.
I believe strongly in the human spirit. We have the ability to do a lot if we have the desire and the willpower to do it. And nothing is easy. You know, things that come easy in life, people don't really appreciate. And I think anybody can verify that. You know, when something is easy, you don't appreciate it. Look, the best athletes in the world that we look up to, when you look in their history, they're the hardest workers. You know, Michael Jordan spent more time in the gym than anybody else. You know, it doesn't come by accident. You look at Tom Brady, you look at all of these people. You know, it's hard work that creates this success. And so anybody out there that's looking to make a difference, make a change in their life, remember, you got to be determined, you got to really want it. You got to want it for yourself. You got to want it for the people around you that you care about, so that you can create a new atmosphere for them, a new life for them. I've been able to do that with my family. And then just go for it.
And at the age of 16, I was tired, just saturated with this bullshit of working a job, following the career path that you were meant to follow. Because I realized one thing, bro. I realized all these people that are giving me advice, do I want to live the life that they live? And when the answer was no, then I wouldn't listen to them. So when my parents said, hey, you should do this, you should go to this university, you should go to this location, you should hang out with these people, you shouldn't say this or you shouldn't do that. And then I evaluated the outcome of their life as much as I love them. I was like, well, I don't want the life that my parents have. I want a different life. Therefore, I have to achieve different things and I have to input different results. And I have to do different kind of measurements of business if I want to elevate. I can't be doing what my parents do. If my parents are doing 50K, 100K a month, I can't be capped by that mindset. I can't be capped by that information.
Well, in my world, I mean, you can pay serious consequences. You can't be disrespectful in that life, Patrick. You know, two guys that actually took the oath. You can never disrespect one another. Never. I mean, you know,
Two made guys could never disrespect one another?
Never disrespect.
So what does disrespect mean?
Calling a guy a name, calling him a liar, raising your voice to him.
Really?
Yeah.
A made guy cannot to a made guy?
No. That's a major, because the life allegedly is built on respect. So you can never disrespect anybody. You can never outwardly do it. Like, I'll be honest with you, I had a meeting with another made guy once, and he's trying to get involved in the gas business, and I'm trying to keep him out. He was a guy from my own family, but he was trying to make a deal with Gotti to bring them into the business, and I didn't want him. So I said, can I talk to you a minute? And this guy's doing life in prison right now. So we go in the other room, and we get in the other room. I called him every name in the sun. You're a liar, you're this, you're that. When we walk out, we're shaking hands, you're the best guy in the world. But I wouldn't let anybody see it, because now if he told anybody I called him that, I call him a liar. So they had to believe me, you know what I mean? The same way they had to believe him. So he would never try to challenge that. But no, in that life, you can never be disrespectful to one another, no matter what it is. You had to just bite your tongue and try to outsmart the guy. You know, one thing I learned, Patrick, in a meeting, and you know this, you're the master of this, there's sometimes you could be in a meeting and you could be the smartest guy in the room, and you don't want to let anybody know that. Let everybody talk, let everybody think they're smarter than you, but you really know what's going on. There's other times when you're in the room, you could be the least smartest guy in the room, but you got to make them think that you're smarter than them. And if you can master that technique, then you can get just about anything you want in any negotiation. I found out to be true.
I'll give you a scenario. There's a guy that lived in Puerto Rico. He already left. I'll call him Jay. And Jay was able to arbitrage a relationship between South Korean mask manufacturers and one of the biggest hospitals in New York City. Mm-hmm. And what did he do? He just connected the head of the hospital in New York City and connected the head of the Korean factory, and he just cashed in a check. And what were they shipping? 5 containers of masks every single day. He received $20,000 commission per container per day. He was making $100,000 net profit a day.
Doing nothing.
For over a year and a half by connecting people. I'm in the business of deals. I'm in the business of how much can I receive, energy can I receive with the least amount of energy output? Because I understand that a genius,
your energy is capped.
A genius isn't a person that does everything. A genius is a person that does the right things, the necessary things, conserving energy, playing the game right. Why? Because if you understand that everything's energy, because everything is energy, whether it's money, whether it's relationships, everything transmutes to energy. Your goal is to conserve your energy as much as possible.
But there's times when I'll test somebody, I'll throw out a word or two that I know is false, and I'll see how he responds. If he wants to make me think I know what I'm talking about, I'll say something that has nothing to do with anything or is totally absurd, and we'll see how they answer. And sometimes they'll give you an answer, and you can start to, they'll indicate to you what kind of personality they are and really what you have. The main thing is just let people talk first. Try to get as much out of them as you possibly can. And then you can kind of figure it out. Like with Gotti, a couple of times I had to sit down with him. I knew that he could never believe that I was winning. So in the midst of the argument, I had to figure out what he really wanted and how I can get what I want, letting him think that he got what he wanted. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but it's all about how you carry yourself. It really is. But you got to be prepared.
health being the foundation of everything is where people need to start. So mental health, physical health, spiritual health. I won't go into details, but those are the 3 quadrants inside health. The second one is wealth, right? You need to be able to, well, in this case, wealth, we're just going to use it for money's sake. But when I talk about wealth, I talk about abundance, a lifestyle of abundance. You need to be able to create an abundant lifestyle. And that means you need to be able to have enough to be able to focus on yourself full time. You don't need $10 billion, right? It's not going to make you happy. You need enough money that your full-time job now becomes developing yourself. Imagine, Sebastian, imagine for 18 hours a day, you just focused on yourself. No business, no house, nothing. Like it was all personal. You were just training on yourself. How far ahead would you be of any other person in any realm of human endeavor that you decided to pursue? You'd be so far ahead, it would be unbelievable. So the second one is this idea of wealth. Develop habits that allow you to create a life of abundance. The last one is focus on the things that have meaning and purpose, because a lot of people get caught up by the material bullshit. They get caught up by the system. They get caught up by the things of the world. And when it's all said and done, they die and they're forgotten, and the things that they've built crumble. And I know a lot of people listening, they have existential questions on eternity. They have existential questions on the future of life, and they have concerns. And I think that a fair amount of time of your life should be allocated to the pursuit of what is the meaning of life and why am I here? So I think you have to have health as your foundation, your operating system to continue keeping you alive. I think you need to have wealth, a life of abundance, so that you can be able to operate freely. And I think you need to be able to focus on the spiritual side, be able to focus on things that transcend the day-to-day. And I think that would allow you to live a life of purpose. I would say those are the 3. The fourth is not necessarily meaningful, but those would be the 3 to answer your question.
Whenever you're out there pushing a product, the first product you're pushing is yourself. People have to like you. People have to want to get involved with you. People have to be interested in you. And I think I've been fortunate in that I don't know what I attribute to, maybe it's something innate, maybe it's something I've worked on, but fortunately, people like to be around me. And, maybe it's a question of humility and making people feel comfortable around you. That's been very, very important. Obviously, determination. There's things that have happened that I could have never planned. I never planned to be on YouTube. Never planned. As a matter of fact, I fought it. I wasn't that smart. It was my team that said, you need to be on YouTube. I don't want to be on social media. No, you need to do it. So I listened. It took me 2 months to come aboard, but I said, okay, maybe you guys are smarter than me, and they were. And we were able to build a successful channel there. Ministry. Never wanted to be involved in ministry because I couldn't see the name Michael Franzese next to ministry. Of course, this was 25 years ago, and I was still coming out of the mob stuff. But God led me in that direction, and it turned out to be, I think, my calling in life. So once I saw that, I said, okay, now I'm going to go for it. So sometimes it's just a question of recognizing that something is happening that this may be meant to be for you, and then pursuing it properly. So I don't consider myself the smartest guy around, but when I see something happening, okay, I take the tiger by the tail and I run with it. I think that's been the story. And again, having the right people around me, Sam, to just support me in the right way. And look, there's some things that I'm not good at, and I won't even bother. You can't micromanage. You cannot micromanage. And I'll tell you this, people, for all of you out there, people have said, Michael, you're a brilliant businessman because you've succeeded in all of these different things. I'm not a brilliant businessman. There's some things that I just won't do and I don't do well, and I'm not going to attempt it. But I know how to put the right people in place and get the most out of them, motivate them. And that was a big part of whatever success that I had. So, I don't know if those are 3 things, but hopefully you get something out of what I just said. But, it's a formula for success, everything that I've put together. And again, believing in myself. I believe that if I put my mind to something, I can get it done. And I'm very realistic with my goals. I'm very realistic. I know what I can achieve and I know what's not attainable. And that's important. You gotta be realistic in what you're pursuing in life.
Most people do not make a plan for their life. They don't know what they want. They don't know where they're going. Dude, I ask a person, what do you have planned for next week? They don't know what they're doing today, right? So how are you supposed to move in life with intention if you're moving like an accident? It's not going to work. Brother, business, life is like archery. That's what I compare it to. If you have no goal, you have no target, there's nothing to hit.
Without a goal, you can't score.
That's the first part. The second part is you need to have a tool. You need to have a bow, you need to have an arrow in order to hit your target.
Right.
The next thing is you have to aim. It requires preparation. You need to understand the spacing, the distance, the humidity, the temperature, all these variables in order to what?
Factors, yeah.
Hit the target.
Hit the target.
And then finally, you have to what?
Shoot.
Let go. Shoot. You have to take action. Most people have no goal. They don't know where they're going. They haven't calculated or measured what it's going to take to achieve the bullseye.
Yeah.
And they don't take action. So in life, if you want to achieve a bullseye, you have to be willing to set a target. You have to be willing to aim, prepare, understand the nature of what you're about to do, and you have to shoot. You have to take action. And with enough iteration, eventually you'll get good enough to hit the bullseye. And that, my friend, is a secret to success. When you're on hustle mode, it's very hard to kind of reset your mind. But if you have enough money, right? When all you need is enough money to be able to focus on yourself full time. Like what would happen if for 8 hours a day, 7 hours a day, the focus of your day, your job was to level up? That would be amazing. That would be unbelievable. You'd be ahead of your competitors. You'd be ahead of your potential, what would you say, enemies, I would call it, or business rivals. You're going to have so many advantages on a personal level, on a business level, on an intellectual level, and you're going to see things from a bigger perspective. So if you can beat yourself and you can win and conquer self, you can conquer everything. Now, the working class hasn't changed ever since this idea of peasant was established, which was during feudalism, right? The peasants were the working class that the feudal lords would basically let them work on the field to feed themselves, and the rest would go into storage or be sold. Basically what happens today. You go, you work, you get a little bit to feed yourself, right? And then you're in a situation where you have to give back to the king through taxes, right? So you're left with half, and then you have debt, and then you have inflation, right? So you barely meet paycheck. 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, or in fact are even in debt. So now you're in a situation whereby the system is attacking you 24/7. You're like, whoa, is this by design, or is this just how it's supposed to be? And then you realize that the system is created by people, and people create the system with rules. But everything that is man-made can be broken, just like hacking into a website. People hack into the rules, hack into the laws. You don't think there's lawyers out here, judges out here passing policy that is convenient for them? This is heaven? No, it's not. It's the real world. People cheat on a Monopoly board. You don't think they're going to cheat in the real life? When in real life, when there's billions and trillions of dollars on the line, what type of reality do you live in, peasant? Because you don't understand how the game is played. You are sitting where you deserve to be. So if you want to level up, you want to understand how the world works, you can't do the things that peasants do. You can't do the things that the working class does. The working class was illiterate. The working class ate unhealthy. The working class was unsanitary. The working class focused so much on working that they couldn't focus on leveling up. So I think you can transition, but it's good to have a reality check of where you currently stand, because the first step to solving a problem is realizing that there is one. And most people aren't willing to realize that they've been fooled their entire life because they feel stupid. So Mark Twain says it's easier to lie to somebody than to convince them that they've been lied to. And that's because there's ego. So get your ego out of the way, become a student of life, and level up the video game character. It's pretty straightforward, G.
So again, like I'm thinking about for ourselves versus yours. Did your world, Michael, did everybody pretty much know everybody's character? Like, was it like, hey, Tony, I'm about to go sit with Vinny. Tell me a little bit about Vinny, or did you already know who Vinny was, or who, Johnny was? Because maybe in our world, like if we go into a meeting and we don't know somebody, outside of that, like if you're saying, you're the smartest, you're not the smartest, make yourself the opposite or whatever you are. Was there other methods you used to be able to read people in the room? Was there any other thing you did or to look for?
I'll give you another story. I got stories for everything that I learned. I had a big automobile dealership, and I had an office that was on the second floor. It was overlooking a car lot, a big Chevrolet dealer. One of the guys that worked for me was out one day in the lot, and I see him having an argument with somebody, yelling back and forth, arguing. I don't pay attention. I go sit at my desk. A few minutes later, he comes upstairs. His name was Jerry. I said, Jerry, what's that argument about? He said, some guy says we sold him a lemon. He wanted his money back, and he's going back and forth. He called me a name. I called him a name. He says, and then he mentioned that he had a connected uncle, a brother-in-law, connected brother-in-law. I said, well, what do you mean connected? He said, he didn't have anybody connected. He was just mouthing off. He said the guy's name was Mario. He said, so I told him, go F Mario and F you. And I said, Jerry, I told you don't talk like that. This is New York. You never know who he didn't know anybody. I said, well, you know somebody, right? Don't talk like that. No, don't worry about it. He don't know anybody. Okay. Next day, I get a call, another maid guy, a guy by the name of Tony the Gawk, we call him, he's a big guy. And he says, Mike, I got to see you. Please come into Brooklyn. So I just happened to say, Jerry, I don't feel like driving. I got to go into Brooklyn. We're on Long Island. Drive me. So we go into Brooklyn. We had a meet at a place called, it was on 18th Avenue. It was called the 19th Hole. There was a Chinese restaurant next to it. So we go in the back of the Chinese restaurant. Now here's what happened. The guy that I had to meet was another maid guy, but I never met him as a maid guy. So if you're a maid member of another family, I can't just go up to you and say, hey, I'm Michael Franzese, I'm maid with the Colombos, you're so-and-so, you're maid with the Bonanos. We had to have somebody that knew us both introduce us.
Got it.
Right? Michael, Amiga Nostra, so-and-so, and then we can talk as maid guys. So Tony was that guy. So we go in the back of the room, and there's a big old-time guy, big guy there, and he's got two guys with him. And Tony says, Michael, Amiga Nostra, meaning a friend of ours, Mario. I said, Mario, that sounds familiar, right? So I sit down. I'm a young guy. He's an older guy. And he says, Mario, what could I do for you? He says, you got a guy by the name of Jerry Zimmerman with you? I said, yeah, I know Jerry. He pounds his hand on the table. He says, I want him dead. I said, whoa. I said, now I'm putting it together, Mario, the scene. So now I'm thinking, I said, okay, Mario, do me a favor. I got to go to the restroom. I had a long drive in from Long Island. Because here's the deal. If they knew Jerry was out there, and they bring Jerry to sit down, before I could prepare him and he says something wrong, I can't save him because I'm a maid guy, he's a maid guy, and we always have the right of way. So even if it was somebody under me, if he would have said something wrong, he's in trouble, in bad trouble.
What can you do anything to change that or no?
No, not if he said the wrong thing and he was disrespectful in any way or he answered wrong, I can't help him. That's just the way it goes. So I said, Mario, I got to go to the restroom. So I go outside. Jerry's by the bar. I said, Jerry, Mario's in there, and he's not happy. I said, get out of here. Go up the street to the diner. Wait for me, right? So he goes up to the street to the diner. Now I'm relaxed. I go back in. I says, Mario, what could I do for you? And he said, this guy was very disrespectful. This is my brother-in-law, and so on and so forth. And he says, he said, F me and all this kind of stuff. And I said, Mario, now you got to understand, I'm got to lie here. I said, Mario, your brother-in-law's not telling you the truth. I said, I was sitting by the window. I heard the whole thing. I said, Jerry never said that. Your brother-in-law's lying. How could you? I know my brother-in-law 20 years. He says, well, I know Jerry 20 years. We're going back and forth, and he says, well, I want to kill Jerry Zimmerman. I said, well, then I got to kill your brother-in-law. So what are we going to accomplish here? This is how it's...
This is literally how this is going.
This is literally. I mean, you would have thought it was a nuclear explosion. This was over. He said, well, I'm going to put him in a hospital. I said, well, I got to put your brother-in-law in a hospital. So what are we going to do? We're going to go back and forth with this thing, right? I'm telling you, Patrick, this went on for 3 hours because he was an old-timer. He wouldn't budge, not budge an inch, right? Now I'm saying, man, this is going to go all the way up to the boss. I said, we're going to have a whole production here. I said, Mario, tell me what you want. What do you want out of this? I said, no, don't even tell me. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give your brother-in-law a new car. Tell him you won the argument, you won. I'll give him a new car and I'll take care of Jerry. Well, I want Jerry in a hospital. I said, stop the hospital. So I'll take care of Jerry. He's my guy. Take the new car. Tell your brother-in-law you won. Whatever it is, you got it made. That's how I finally resolved it, right? But listen to this. I go out and I'm yelling at Jerry and everything. And I said, Jerry, I don't trust this guy. I don't trust him. As you happen to be walking down the street and a safe falls on your head, I can't do it. So here's what I'm going to do. He said, what? As you got a brother out in California, I says, go out to California for a while, go relax out there. When I think everything's all right, I'll call you back. So, and you gotta understand, Mario resented me because I'm 30 years younger than him. I'm a new guy, so he already don't like me for that reason alone. So Jerry goes out, and about 2 months later, he calls me up. He says, hey Chief, he says, we're gonna be in the movie business. I said, what do you know about movies? Don't worry, it's easy. We got a script and all this kind of stuff. Don't worry about it. He says, send me $83,000, you'll be my partner. I said, all right. So I sent him $83,000, and we produced this movie called Mausoleum, which was a horror movie, right? P.S. The end result is $1 million later, we produced this movie, a horror movie that didn't scare anybody but me, I'll be honest with you. But that's how I backed into the movie business. And then from there, I realized right away, I'll tell you what, you remember Golan and Globus? Anybody remember that name? Peter Guber would have told you all about them. They were two guys, they had a company, and they were doing all of these, kind of exploitation films. So I spent $1 million on this film, so I go and see them. They had offices in New York. I said, hey, I got this film, we spent $1 million. And he said, okay. He said, we'll give you 25 grand. I said, I don't think you heard me. I said, I spent $1 million on this. He said, no, we'll give you 25 grand. That was it. So I said, no, thank you. So I take the film, but that's when I realized you had to be in the distribution business. So I bought a distribution company at that point, and that's how I started to get involved in the film business way back when. On an accident, on a mistake, because I didn't pay attention. I just sent them the money. I didn't look into anything. I didn't research anything. I just trusted Jerry, and I almost got destroyed on that film.
Did it end up being profitable?
It ended up
through
being
Jerry?
profitable, yeah.
So saving Jerry's life made you money?
Yes.
So,
a lot of headaches, but it made me money, yes. It was worth saving his life.
But for all you young guys out there, understand, determination, willpower, believing in yourself, getting out and doing the work, nothing, can take the place of hard work and determination. And for all you young people out there, listen, it pays off. There's no free lunches and no free rides,
The life that you have is a life that you chose.
Exactly, yeah, it's true.
Where you're currently living, what you're currently doing, you chose that. You have people complain about having kids, people complain about having responsibilities, people complain about their rent, people complain about their student loans. Most of these things in life are self-imposed.
Yeah, 100%.
You self-impose all this bullshit. You self-impose a lot of these issues in your life. That's just the nature of the game. So when you understand that everything is self-imposed, then you're like, okay, I'm going to be a little bit more relaxed on my responsibilities. I'm going to be more careful about the decisions and the commitments that I make, because I understand that there's long-term consequences to it. I see a lot of people complaining, dude, but very few people taking
100%.
action.
Yeah.
Most people make excuses. Very few people make moves.
Do you think maybe what holds a lot of people back is just like the limiting belief? Because they're probably listening to this and they're thinking like, I can't do this.
So let's evaluate. Why do you limit your beliefs? I'll tell you why you limit your beliefs. You limit your beliefs because you don't trust yourself. Why don't you trust yourself? Because every time you tell yourself that you're going to do something, you break your own promise. If you can't trust yourself as an autonomous individual, no wonder you're not going to advance in life. Dude, if I told you every single day, right, and we were gym buddies, if I told you every single day that we were going to go to the gym and I didn't show up, but you showed up, right? Or you said, hey, are we going to the gym? Like your body tells you, hey, we need to go to the gym, or how your friends tell you, hey, we got to go work out. If you told me 10 days in a row and I committed, hey, we're going to the gym, but then the morning came around and you came out of the room and I was there eating chips and watching Netflix and I didn't go to the gym with you, on the 10th day, would you believe me?
Yeah, not a chance.
Would you trust me?
No, yeah.
So the problem is most people don't trust themselves. And the reason they don't trust themselves is because they are in auto self-sabotage mode 24/7. Everything that they do, they're sabotaging themselves. No wonder you can't trust yourself. No wonder you don't have any courage. No wonder you think you're going to fail, is because your mind is literally telling you, dude, I can't trust you. I can't trust you. So you need to start on the small wins. Start focusing on the small wins. Get groomed. Clean your room. Start hanging out with good people. Read a chapter in a book and say, I'm going to read a chapter, and you sit down and you read it, right? I'm going to read this news article, and you sit down and you read it. I'm going to eat good food and not bad food, and you do it, and you start building trust with yourself. Trust, reputation, rapport. And then you realize, wow, I can actually do anything that I want because I trust myself to do it. So learn how to trust yourself by doing the small things right. And how you do the small things is how you do the big things. So focus on the small things, focus on laying down the bricks. And soon, when you zoom out, you'll have a wall of China. It'll be so big beyond comprehension, people won't be able to even understand what was built. It's because every brick that you laid was done with perfection. Small thing. Your mind is programmable. The question is, who will program it? Will you program your mind? Or will your mind be programmed by other men? by circumstances around you. Weak men think that the circumstances that are around them are created by chance, right? That it's just random, it's accidental. It's an accident. But then you have the people that understand that circumstances are created. They don't just occur, they are created. That you then have the ability to create the circumstances in the life that you want. So if you're currently living in circumstances that are not ideal for you, create the circumstances that you want. Ooh, I can? Yes, you can. But you have to believe that it's possible, right? So understanding that it's possible by doing what? Reprogramming your mind. The Bible says it. Be transformed by what? The renewal of your mind. Right? The Bible says it. Be transformed. So transform who you are by renewing your mind. Sometimes you have to hit reset on the computer. Sometimes you have to hit update. But people are running on the same trains of thoughts and the same information that gave them the problems in the first place. No wonder you're fucked up. You're not learning new data sets. You're not learning new information. You're not becoming a new person. Believe and you will achieve.
What are like some tangible inputs, right, that I can go find right now that regular people have access to? Because you're on a journey, brother.
Okay, so super basic right now. 1, go get spring water. Don't drink Dasani purified water. It's gonna fuck you up. Number 1, right? This is super essential. 2, once you have a little bit of money, start eating super clean, super organic. Understand that the food that you consume has pesticides, has chemicals. You want to be eating nutritious whole foods, not processed foods, not garbage. You do not want to be using Teflon pans. They have forever chemicals. It's known to be extremely poisonous. So get a cast iron. It costs you $20. Buy the cast iron. If you have an air fryer, don't use a microwave. Microwave, you're literally cooking your food. You're cooking, killing all the good stuff in there, all the vitamins, all the minerals, is completely killing the food. You're literally nuking it to just warm it up. So don't use the microwave, period. Don't drink sodas, don't drink Gatorade, don't drink any of this water, and sometimes organic coconut water, super good for electrolytes. Add some chlorophyll in there, add some lime, some sea salt, remineralize your water. If you put it through a reverse osmosis system. I'm giving you the whole rundown here, my G. Neglect bullshit music, neglect celebrities. Don't give a celebrities. When you meet them in real life, they ain't that special. So don't have like this hero kind of perspective towards people, even ourselves. Understand that everybody is human, so that you don't have to be so harsh on yourself with false reality and false expectations of how the world works. Exercise, find good friends, good relationships, people that are positive and that have your best interest in mind and that are willing to support you on your journey, but also challenge you to level up. Never lie to yourself. Be honest on where you are and know that at any time you can control the outcome of your life if you choose to. And I think that if people take these principles I've mentioned in the last 3 to 4 minutes, they're going to have a phenomenal 2023.
Michael, a lot of the names that we know, the Gotti, your father, who's legendary at what he did within that world, and Persico, Al Castellano, all these guys, they're names that we've seen all across Hollywood. Who were some of the names that were earners that we don't hear the names? Like guys who you would say, that guy was legit, this guy was real at what he was doing, but it's not commercialized like some of the other names.
Castellano was legit. He was a big earner. He had a good head for business. He was, he had a lot of legitimate things going. And then if you're a boss, people are sending you money all the time, Patrick, when I went into the gas business, I'll tell you how it happened. I backed into that too. A lot of people have the impression that mob guys sit in their social clubs, and this is important for you to know. They sit in their social clubs and they target businesses. They say, we're gonna go after this, we're gonna go after that. It doesn't happen that way 90% of the time. It's somebody within the business that has some kind of scheme to make a little extra money, and they'll come to us and present it to us because they figure if they need financing, we can give it to them. If they need, some muscle, we can give it to them, and we're never going to tell on them. So they come to us. That happened to me so often. People that wanted to make a few extra bucks, they'd come to me, and that's how I'd get involved. That's how I got involved in the gas business. So, they were really legitimate guys. Persico, for instance, he was a pretty good earner. When I found out what I had with the gas business, I went to him and I said, Junior, here's the deal. I'm gonna show you more money than you ever saw in your life. And he right away said, no drugs, we don't get involved in drugs. Because we got involved in drugs, we got killed. We weren't allowed. Big fallacy out there that the mob was pushing drugs back then, not true. Some guys were doing it on a sneak, but as a business, we didn't get involved. So I said, Junior, it's not drugs. He said, what is it? I said, it's gas. What do you mean? I said, well, it's a tax thing that I created. I said, but here's the deal. Everybody's going to want to get involved in this. From all 5 families, they're all going to want to get involved. As soon as you open that door, we're going to get in trouble. I said, it's going to be the same thing that happens all the time. I said, you got to make me win every argument. You can't play politics. Don't sell me out. I told him just like that. As you do that, you make me win every time because I'll be right, and I'm going to show you more money than you ever had. Let me see. At one point in time, after probably 6 months, I was bringing them in almost $2 million a week. Now, in that life, $2 million a week buys you a lot of loyalty, trust me. I never lost an argument in the gas business. Never lost. And I went against Gotti, I went against Castellano, I went against everybody that wanted a piece. So, you know, does that apply to the real world? Look, when people are making money with you, they're happy. I mean, that's the way it is, you know, they're happy. I mean, money buys a lot of loyalty in business, you know. People don't want to disrupt that. And it's true on the street, and I think it's true in real life too. I've seen that, you know that.
Powerful. That's very true. So when you make money, your partners, vendors, everybody's happy. You continue doing business, and they do additional things for you.
So this idea that life is all about pleasure is a false reality. So Dan Bilzerian mentioned it. He said, you know, when you become extremely rich, first time you eat a specific steak, right, it's a 10. The next time you eat it, it's a 7. And then the next time you eat it, it's a 6, right? All these pleasures, when you were broke, if I brought you to spend $200 in a dinner, you would trip ass. Now it's just like, whatever, here's the card, right? So there's some sort of desensitization to privilege. There's a desensitization to beautiful experiences. So when you put yourself in circumstances that are uncomfortable, you create the artificial scenario where now you take the things that you used to have and you don't take them for granted, right? You start valuing them more, right? You spend 2 months away from your girl. Now you value her more than if you saw her every single day at all times, right? Because familiarity breeds contempt, which is this idea of you take for granted the things that you're familiar with. So sometimes it's good to disconnect yourself from the privilege, from the opportunities that make you weak. They make you soft, and put yourself in a situation where now you can reevaluate things, and it changes your worldview. So new data sets, new quests unlock abilities to perceive the world in different ways. If you've never left your state, your limitation of your mind is massive, right? You don't know anything. But if you're out here traveling the world, I've been to 45 countries, I'm in my mid-20s, I'm gonna do every country in the world, right? It's one of my goals. To side quest and just learn new information, new data sets, and I think that'll make me a better entrepreneur. I think it'll make me a better businessman. I think it'll make me a better partner, better father, all these things, because it's just unconventional, and you will achieve unconventional results by doing unconventional things. Your goal is to not have to worry about money. Whatever way you achieve that, whether your parents give you the money, whether you make your own money like we did, whether you fundraise, whatever it is, right? You need to be able to not worry about money so that you can focus on building, not hustling, dude. Hustling is cool when you're a brokey.
Yeah.
But when you have money, dude, the hustle mentality is going to keep you behind. People tell me, Luke, how much money do you make in a day? I don't calculate money by day. I calculate money by hour.
How much do you make per hour?
How much? My hour is valued at $2,500 to $20,000, depends on the day. That's what I value my hour at.
Yeah.
So I will not touch a task under.
So this hour is worth $25,000.
At a minimum. For example, if you want to make $1 million a year, right, which is you should be your base goal, because nowadays your real $1 million is $3 million, based off of inflation, based off of the bullshit, based off of the amount of money that's being printed. Potentially. So you're in a situation where now you have a little bit of money, you got to be operating differently, dude. People need to be focused on elevating themselves, and the way that you do it is when money is no longer your main focus. Your focus is building. Well, first you need to know what your goal is. Most people walk around with no goals, no ambition. They don't know where they're going. It's like a ship with no destination. If you don't know where you're going, you'll never get there. Once you know where you want to go, then you direct your time, your energy, and your attention to what? To the execution and the achievement of that goal. If you want to make money, you will make money. If you want a good network, you will have a good network. If you want to build a great podcast with great hosts and great guests, you will build a podcast in that way. It's all about intention. But most people walk around in life thinking that life is just a big fat lottery. And it's just not that case. Those that live by the lottery of life most likely end up losing because you're just gambling. I don't want to gamble with my life. So what I do is I set a goal, and then I focus my time, energy, and attention, which truly are the only assets that you have. So when a lot of people come to me, they're like, Luke, I have nothing. Brother, you and I have the same exact thing: time, energy, and attention. But what you use your time for, it doesn't yield a return. What I use my time for yields a return. You get paid in proportion to the difficulty of the problems that you solve. Elon Musk said that once. You get paid in proportion to the difficulty of the problems that you solve. Most people that don't make money, they don't solve problems. They don't spot problems. They don't capitalize on problems. If you solve small problems, you'll get paid very little. The guy flipping the patties, like Tate says, somebody's got to flip the fucking burgers.
It's true.
But they solve very small problems.
So
they
you
get
get a
paid in
small pay.
proportion to what? Solving that problem. You put a man on Mars, you'll get paid in proportion to solving that problem. So you need to focus your time, your energy, and attention to solving big problems. And hopefully your goal is to serve humanity.
People, that's one thing Mr. Michael always teaches me too. Whenever we go out, if you have the chance to see him, whether it's at a Starbucks or a grocery store, the way you deal with the person at the customer service, you make them feel so special. And it's just something that you're always doing, is you're making everybody feel special around you. And it attracts more people, and that's why you have the following base that you do, because people see it, people feel it. And that humility of yours is something very inspiring and something I'm learning from every day.
Well, you know, Sam, I learned something in life. You know, this is a crazy story, but I'll tell you about it. And this is when I was younger. You probably don't remember the Shah of Iran. The wealthiest,
Patrick talks about him.
wealthiest guy in the world, had everything at his fingertips, but couldn't save himself from disease and eventually died. Went all around the world, sought the best doctors out and everything. And it made me realize that we are, as human beings, very fragile. Anything can happen at any time. And, you know, at that point, humility became something very special to me. Because I said, who are we really when life can change on a dime? God forbid an accident, God forbid a disease, God forbid anything can happen. And for any of us to think that we're so much better than another person, it's just wrong. And it just really stuck with me for that. And this was before I was even a Christian. It just really stuck with me, you know, Sam. You got to treat people the right way, you know. If you want respect, you got to give respect, no matter who it is. And I also attribute that to my dad, who always told me, he said, son, always remember this. He said, always be kind and respectful to the little people. Now, he didn't mean that in a demeaning way. It was just his way of saying this. But he said, they're the ones that make you strong. He said, they're the ones that look up to you. They're the ones that appreciate who you are. It's not the people on top that are looking to cut your legs out. And I learned that from being in mob. You know, you don't want to, you know, people at the top level, they're always worried that maybe you're looking for their position. You know, but it's been a lesson in my life, and I realized that. And I think, you know, as godly people, we have to realize that. Jesus was extremely humble, and he had all the power in the world, and that always made an impression on me. So I try to carry myself that way.
So if people want to make a lot of money, dude, I divide it into three things. First is you need to be able to do something that's in high demand, right? So for example, it doesn't matter if you were putting out the biggest banger videos in the world. If YouTube wasn't a thing, right, and nobody really watched YouTube, you wouldn't be able to monetize it, right? So what you need to be doing needs to be in high demand. The second thing is you need to be able to be doing something and be the best at it, right? So you need to be the best at what you do. Not only do you have to be the best at what you do, but you also have to be in a situation where you have to be irreplaceable, right? So you cannot be replaced. And this is where most people fall off, is that most people are replaceable. That's why their careers are very short. That's why their YouTube careers are very short. That's why they can get fired and the boss doesn't blink an eye, right? But there are people out there that you can't replace, dude. Like you can't just go out there and replace your lead engineer at Amazon AWS, right? Like you can't just go out and replace that dude that's built the entire infrastructure. Therefore, he's secured his ability to make money. Why? Because he can't be touched. Then he's the best at what he does, so he can negotiate his price. And finally, what he's doing is in demand, which means he will always find a supply for monetary transactions in that thing. So figure out something that you can do that's in high demand. I would say something in the Web3 space right now would be really good. Coding, cybersecurity, all these things, if you can learn them, super phenomenal. You need to be able to be the best at what you do so that you can negotiate at the table, because when you come as the G, right? Drake doesn't walk into the room in the record label with the same terms some new kid would come in with, right? He comes in and he sets the terms because he's the best at what he does. And then finally, you can't be replaceable, right? Because if you come in with a preposterous deal or you want the best deal in hand, you need to be able to have leverage, and being irreplaceable gives you that leverage. So if you want to make money, ladies and gentlemen, figure out where you can be irreplaceable, where you can be the best at what you do, and where what you do is in high demand, and you will make money in perpetuity for always and forever. I think it's about the information that you have and about the level of conviction, because you have to be convicted about something, right? You have to put your chips on the table about something. And the last thing you want to do is live the what if game. I can always make more money, right? By no means am I advocating, hey, if you have $5,000 in the bank, go put all of your money in crypto. No, go learn how to make money. Go learn how to develop cash flow. Go learn how to build a business. I had enough money whereby if I lost that money in crypto, I knew I was going to make it again. But it was a bet I was willing to take. And I took the bet and it worked. And I realized that if I lost that bet, I was okay too. Why? Because I developed the skills to build and scale digital businesses. So it wasn't a confidence on the decision. It was a confidence in my ability to make decisions.
Yeah.
Based off of the skills that I had developed.
Yeah.
And if the decision doesn't play out, that's okay, because I have developed the skills and I have trust in who? Myself. I'm going to fuck up, but it's all a game of probabilities. It's not a game of luck. And you have to increase your probabilities by increasing your skill set. And that's what a lot of people don't do. They don't work and they don't increase their skill set. Leonardo da Vinci famously said, God will sell you anything at the price of labor. And that is true. So what you have to do is, if you want something, you have to work for it. And most people that think that the world is based off of luck have never truly worked for something. Not enough to understand that luck does not exist. It's merely a game of probabilities. You work hard, you work more, you work longer, and eventually you can increase your odds of success. But every man should be involved in groups of accountability, in groups of mentorship. 100%, it's undeniable. Most of the successful people, I'll give you an example. Live in Puerto Rico, the Ritz-Carlton, the membership, $100,000 to get in, right? If you want to be part of the club at the Ritz-Carlton, it's $100,000. That's the buy-in, okay? Why did I pay for my Ritz-Carlton membership? Because of the members that are there.
Yeah.
It's my buy-in. There's places where you have to pay to play. There's rooms that we will never be able to get into because it'll cost you fucking $50 million. What do you think people that go and pay those, people go to charities and they'll go and drop $25 million on a charity? Do you think some of these guys are doing it out of goodwill? No, because they realize that who they're giving the charity to, whatever that organization, that foundation is, will give them access to that club, that group of people. And then my maintenance fee every single month is $1,000. Why do I do that? Because I know that when I go to the pool area, it's full of rich people. Why? Because I know how much it costs them to pay there. So I know it's no bullshit.
You had a lot of issues, within your career, whether it's government or lawyers or any of that stuff. How do you yourself see the court system that we have, and outside of the court system, today, like in a marketplace of being an entrepreneur, building a business? What do you think are some things business people need to look out for that has to do with lawyers, that has to do with the government and regulation?
Got me going on the wrong subject there, but listen, and I wrote this in my book. Look, I made a lot of money illegally, a lot of money. I had this gasoline tax fraud case, deal that at one point in time we were pulling in $7-8 million a week. Okay, a lot of it cash, a lot of it I had to devise a system to send money through wires overseas to various bank accounts. We did different things to try to hide the money that we were earning. When I finally got in trouble, when the government came on me with these racketeering laws that are devastating, you don't ever want to get involved in a RICO, very, very hard to defend, and it'll cost you millions of dollars, even if you're innocent, doesn't matter. Just defend these cases, they're very difficult. And in all my cases, like Giuliani indicts me on a case, I had $1 million bail. I paid my lawyers almost $3 million. I spent 7 months in a courtroom every single day on trial. It took me a year and a half to prepare. I was found not guilty, but it cost me $20 million.
Wow.
$20 million to be found not guilty.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, all right, I didn't go to jail, but look at the devastation it
Right.
causes. How many people can handle that, you know, and pay that kind of money? Me, I don't like a lawyer unless I absolutely I hope there's no lawyers in here, no offense meant.
There are a few, but
unless I absolutely need them, I try to avoid them. And I've been through lawyers my whole life. But I tell you this, you know, you cut corners legally, that's fine, but it absolutely doesn't pay to do anything that's going to bring you heat with the government or the IRS. It took me literally, when I got out of prison, I had a $103 million fine from the IRS. $103 million. I'll tell you how. My partner in the gas business became an informant, and he started to testify in all the gasoline trials, right? There was probably 7 or 8 of them. Every time a witness got on the stand and said, oh, I gave Franzese $5 million, I gave Franzese $6 million. Next thing I know, I get a letter from the IRS. They assessed me when the guy was saying it from the witness stand. Even if the guy the case was acquitted, they still assessed me with it. And then they used to say, if you want to pay it by credit card or whatever, so I used to write my credit card in and say, here, pay it, right? I used to get these notes in prison. So I get out, I got a $103 million fine from the IRS. Now, how do you get by on that? I'll give you a little secret. Nice. I used to go to try to buy a car, and they said to me, are you kidding me? You got a $103 million fine. I said, yeah, but let me tell you the flip side of that. If I owe the government $103 million, you must know I'm a pretty good earner, so give me the car. They said, okay, you got it. I swear to God. I said, what are you worried about the credit report? I owe them 103, you know I can make money. Okay, they gave me the car.
You gotta be kidding me.
I swear to God. Same way, I bought a house that way one time at the bank. I said, don't worry about that, I'm gonna pay. And when you're on the street, you learn some of that dialogue. But anyway, so every year I'm going to court in Brooklyn on this $103 million. I said, look, if you claim there's money someplace, go and get it. They wrote a book, said I got money buried all over the world, and they investigated me like crazy, and they're making me sign statements. I don't have money in foreign banks. Every year I'm going back, every year I'm going back. 20 years. I finally get in front of the judge. I got mad with my lawyer. I said, you're not solving anything for me here. They keep coming, I'm not paying them. So I tell the judge, Your Honor, I live in California. I said, why do you make me come here all the time? I'm saying the same thing. I live in California, change the venue. He was so tired of the case, he said, I got it, it's a good idea. I'm sending it out to California, right? So he sent it out to California. It's funny. About 3 months later, I get a call from the agent. He's coming, I got to see it. So I walk in, he looks at me. He said, I got to ask you a question. He's got about 20 file boxes in the back of you. He says, what is all of this? I said, well, didn't your people tell you what this is? He says, all they do is send me boxes and say you owe 103 million. I said, I've been fighting the case for 20 years. We're going to fight it for another 20 years unless you make a deal and settle with me now. He's okay. He says 103 million. He's, how about we settle for 10 million? I said, I don't think you're hearing me. I don't have any money. We're not going to settle for anything. Bottom line is we're back and forth. I settled it for $250,000. Yes. No way, you got to hear the best. So he says, you're going to write me a check, I'll give you 30 days. I said, you didn't hear me, I don't have any money. I said, you got to stretch this out over 5 years, I'll pay you every month, right? He stretched it out over 5 years.
You got to be kidding me.
I swear to God. So I said, unless you want to keep investigating. He just wanted to get rid of me too. He said, let's just settle this thing. 103 down to 250, 5-year payout. That was it.
We got a couple construction company guys here that are very good at shoveling and digging for money. Are there any hidden spots you want to advise them going digging for some money?
Well, here's what they tell you. Okay, here's how the IRS gets you. The statute of limitations is over on any money that I might have stolen back in the 80s, right? But here's how they get you. They make you sign a statement under the penalty of perjury that you have no money in foreign banks, you got no money here. They go down a laundry list, like you got no money in your bathroom, in your closet, in a shoebox. They go through the whole thing. And there's a 10-year statute of limitations on the perjury. You know, so they don't get you for the money, they get you for the perjury, right? So I was talking to a few people today at lunch, but today or yesterday, I remember at lunch. And the last statement I signed, I have 19 months to go before I have to sign another one. So now I was talking to my lawyer. I said, look, if I refuse to sign another one, what are they going to do? He said, well, probably when you have a year left, they're going to tell you to come in and sign another one. I said, well, if I say no, what are they going to do? I said, let's take them to court. Let's argue with them a little bit. I said, because if we get a lapse of time and there is any money there, and I'm not saying there is, but just in case there is, you know, I don't know who's in this audience, but just in case there is,
We're just looking for cross streets.
then maybe
That's all we want.
Maybe that lapse of time, I can go grab a few bucks if there's anything there until I sign another one. But then it's too late for that. Who knows?
Side hustles, what I learned in the beginning of my career, should only be the mentality applied to making your initial money.
Yeah, 100%.
Once you
I agree.
go from hustle mode, you need to go to boss mode.
Yeah.
What is boss mode? A person that is building long-term sustainable businesses. You cannot build
Scalable.
long-term scalable businesses by having to force cram and force feed ads in order for your business to survive. It won't work that way. It's too annoying. It's too stressful. I don't want to rely on Zuck's algos and on Zuck's tracking in order for me to make money.
Successful. Yeah.
Why? Because as soon as Apple comes around and says, tracking, we're canceling that shit. Now Facebook goes to shit, right? So you can't be dependent on one single avenue. It's not going to work. So people need to start shifting their mindset. Once you have your first 100K, dude, your mindset should shift from hustle to boss. It's so easy, bro. It's so easy to bank money. You know this. Online, anybody can go out and make 10 grand a month, literally. But who learns taxes? Who learns budgeting? Who learns human resources? Who learns product and inventory management? Who learns scaling and operation? Who learns systems building? Nobody learns those things because they're the boring parts of the business. And if you don't learn them, you're going to crash. The last thing you want to be is a person that pumps cash but has no ability to retain it.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that guy. If you don't understand how to file taxes, if you don't understand how to budget your business. I was talking with a guy in Singapore. He's the son of the former president of Singapore, probably worth a couple $1 billion. He's in real estate development. He's done over 2,500 real estate development projects in Singapore. Super big guy. And
the property prices there are
crazy. So he's like proper balling. So I was having a conversation with him, and he's like, you know what the biggest issue is between the elite and people that make no money? I'm like, what? Financial literacy. He said, most people are financially illiterate, and it's a language. And I'm like, what do you mean it's a language? He's like, yes, finance is the language of the elite. Just like Latin used to be the language prior to the peasants being able to have access to read the Bible, they would have to go to the elite, the popes, the deacon of the church, or whoever was in charge, in order to get what? In order to get the wisdom, because they couldn't read it. Nowadays, most people are financially illiterate. And it's in that financial lack of literacy that people get fucked.
Yeah.
Why do you need a lawyer? Because you don't know the law.
Yeah.
Why do you need a tax attorney? Because you don't know tax. Yeah, you don't need to know all of it, but if you don't know the basics, anybody can finesse you. And I think that's the biggest issue up and coming entrepreneurs and even developed entrepreneurs make and end up getting screwed on, is they have not developed financial literacy because it's not sexy.